Very good morning to all the participants. At the Asia Insurance 2023 Summit that is taking place in Kathmandu, Nepal. My best wishes and warm greeting to all participants. My name is Krishnan Narasimhan. I am the global lead specialist for the UN Capital Development Fund's climate disaster risk financing and insurance. I also manage the Pacific Insurance and and climate adaptation program. Uh, what I'm going to talk to you today is about the index insurance best practice guidelines, a publication that we jointly developed with the Access to Insurance Initiative and was launched last year. The technical support for this piece of work was provided by Messrs. Risk Shield Consultants, a Zambia-based consulting firm. But we worked very collaboratively with the Access to Insurance Initiative in getting this publication off the ground. I will briefly mention about why we did this research and developed the publication. So when the Climate Disaster Risk Insurance Program was started by the UNCDF in the Pacific, the context of the market in the Pacific is such that there are significant supply and demand side challenges, but there are also challenges around the policy environment in the sense that none of the Pacific countries had any form of micro insurance regulations. So therefore, any inclusive insurance intervention and more so index insurance was absolutely new to the region. And the small island developing states in the Pacific are characterized by low population densities, low populations like per se, hard to reach populations, very challenging infrastructure support that they have, and of course the usual demand side problems like lack of proper understanding of financial products and services, and more so insurance. So when we started engaging banks and other insurance regulators in the region, because the type of products that we were developing were at the micro and the meso levels, which had to be regulated, which were under some form of regulation. But since there was no micro insurance regulation, we had to engage the regulators, and they said that, do you have examples from elsewhere in the world, from markets elsewhere, or geographies outside of Pacific, where index insurance has been there, where parametric insurance has been there, and how have the regulators in those markets approached this subject? And that's when we started engaging with this technical support firm, and then we studied 10 different markets, how they were treating, or how those regulators were treating index insurance. Based on this, actually gives guidelines not only to the insurance regulators, but also to the other practitioners in the industry. The other practitioners would include governments, specifically ministries of finance, the ministries of agriculture, the national disaster management offices, the meteorological offices, and of course other like private sector and public sector players. And also there's a separate section for insurers and reinsurers. This publication was launched in July of last year, and since then it has also been used as a learning and knowledge sharing tool in several workshops. It's been well received, and a link to this publication will be shared by the organizers of this event, and I would encourage all of you to go through the link and read the link. So in brief, I'll also talk about the Pacific Insurance and like climate adaptation program that UNCDF is implementing in the Pacific. Though the initial 2 years of the inception phase, which was completed in December 2022, was largely focused on the Pacific small island developing states. The expansion phase is focusing on additional countries in the Pacific, but also undertaking gap analysis and scoping and feasibility studies. And we are also planning in a few Asian countries. That would very much include Nepal as well. The main objective of the program is to build the financial resilience and preparedness of the small island developing states in the Pacific, economic, climate change, and of those who are not familiar with the Pacific small island developing states. These are one of the most vulnerable countries in the world, and they figure in the top 10 or top 15 or top 20 list in the World Risk Report. Many of these markets face multiple calamities every year, be it extreme weather events like cyclones, earthquakes, heavy rainfall and flooding, and some parts of the Pacific also have drought. And many of these countries do not have adequate disaster risk financing mechanisms, so much so that they can effectively respond and recover from these extreme weather events. The usual instruments that are deployed are repurposing of national budgets. What were meant for infrastructure, meant for schooling, meant for education, health, etc., get diverted to disaster relief, and or external assistance from donors. So therefore, our program looks at low-income households and communities, MSMEs, cooperative and agriculture agencies, financial institutions. And these are market-based instruments involving the private sector insurance companies. And all these solutions are digitally delivered through mobile technologies, digital technologies. Agriculture, fisheries, and tourism are the main focus, with the cross-cutting focus on women, youth, and persons with disabilities. In the initial 2 years, we have covered 3 countries in the Pacific, Fiji, Vanuatu, and Tonga, where nearly 5,000 households were covered under pilots. And now we have scale of the which 4 additional countries in the Pacific, Africa. Has unique market ecosystem where we firmly believe, and our hypothesis is based on the belief that there are signals each market bring, but the ecosystem has the full potential of each market players, be it the public sector, be it the private sector, be it the government and other agencies, can come together to deliver sustainable market solutions, parametric insurance solutions, index insurance solutions to meet the risk protection needs of the vulnerable populations. And that's exactly what we have done in the Pacific, and with very good results. I think more on the results and what the program has done, we will probably share as a slide deck later. The publication itself that we developed with Access to Insurance Initiative is primarily in 2 parts. One part, like I said, is for the regulators. It talks about general principle, defining and different insurance product and its categories. Then there is a specific focus on consumer protection, on oversight, intermediary, and sort of distribution channel requirements that the supervisor has to have oversight of. And then there's separate supply side guidelines and prudential supervision. So this forms inputs on what sort of approval processes can be followed, what sort of product review processes followed, and also the minimum requirements. So these are covered in the one for the regulators. For government, we also have under consumer protection. We talk about how basis risk can be managed, what should be the minimum design features, then the claims calculation, talking about complaints management, and also about how claims can be adjudicated, and the minimum marketing and disclosure requirements. Then when it comes to the best practice considerations or the best practice guidelines. There are separate sections for ministries of finance, Ministry of Agriculture, and the Meat Office. What role can they play in facilitating the market or actually creating the enabling environment? This includes indirect premium subsidy through tax waivers, direct premium subsidies wherever possible, and where they can create insurance pools and also access to the global reinsurance markets. Then there are separate recommendations. What should a distribution channel partner like an agriculture institution or a cooperative or a microfinance institution should do? And how can they promote index-based insurance for their members? There's also a separate section on what the reinsurers should do in terms of build of actually bringing capacities to underdeveloped markets. So UNCDF primarily focuses on LDCs, the least developed countries and underdeveloped markets. And many of the recommendations contained in this publication is applicable to underdeveloped markets. I would encourage all regulators to read these regulations and other practitioners to read this particular publication and make best use of the publication. Both A2II and UNCDF remain committed to increasing awareness and knowledge sharing. That's why this publication brought. We would like to thank A2II for this opportunity. And I would also like to thank our technical partners, Risk Shield. For further questions, I can be reached by email, which will be shared by the organizers. Thank you very much. And I wish the 3-day conference all success and all the very best for very engaging, for very high level of engagement. And I'm sure that good partnerships will come out of this. Thank you very much.